invited Dr. Clark, the founder and CEO of Wright Public Charter School for Journalism and Media Arts. Dr. Clark is a well-respected educator, forward-thinking innovator, exemplary author, polarizing public speaker, and veteran in the world of urban education. In addition to his work as founder and CEO of Wright, he's the chairman of Man the Block, an organization focused on providing safe passage for students to and from school. At age 10, Dr. Clark became a spelling bee champion. Ironically, by the age of 11, a guidance counselor labeled Dr. Clark as a functional illiterate. The label disrupted his educational journey for many years. However, it was that label that eventually sparked Dr. Clark's fight against literacy and the need for student development and worldwide advocacy. Through the unwavering support of his parents, Dr. Clark was able to make it through high school and go on to Clark Atlanta University, where he met a professor, Dr. Johnny L. Wilson, who recognized his potential, believed in him, and helped him shape his educational path and platform for the years to come. He eventually went on and got his doctorate in higher education from Morgan State University. By the age of 34, almost 25 years after being labeled as a functional illiterate, Dr. Clark emerged as a noted educator and scholar. Many political figures have acknowledged Dr. Clark's ability to offer a fresh mix of traditional and contemporary approaches to motivating troubled youth and mobilizing communities. Historical icon, the late Congressman John Lewis, exhorted Dr. Clark's unique ability to identify with students sparking their desire to achieve. Without further ado, Dr. Marco Clark.
Good afternoon, everyone. How are you? I am feeling great. I'm always at home when I come to the Rotary Club. The last couple of times I've been here, I was given a tree. No one told me exactly where my tree is located. So as I ride around the District of Columbia, I have friends with me, I'm always just making up places. That's my tree right there. So one day I'll get the locator on the tree, but for now, there's just so many trees I have with my name on it. But I'm just really excited to be here, and I just want to salute you guys for the work that you do. I want to thank my good friend, President Marilyn. Like, she is amazing in the work that she does. Can we salute her for the work? I want to take a moment to recognize your new president-elect. We're going to become good friends around a lot of different things. So congratulations to you as well. Before I get into everyone else, I just want to acknowledge my team at Wright. And I want to start by these amazing young people that I have an opportunity to serve every day at Wright. They are amazing leaders, and they are going to be change agents in the future. And I just want you guys to know what you have before you. One day you're going to look up and say, I know those kids. They are amazing. I want to acknowledge the mentor and awesome instructor. He's a great friend of mine. And not only that, we share a lot of love for all of Philadelphia sports. Mr. Gassard is an awesome teacher. Miss Compton Harris is amazing. You guys know her. She's out. She's taught me a lot about the district. I'm a kid that grew up in Philadelphia, so I had to learn things about DC Washingtonians. And she's been great in doing that and been my confidant for a long time now. So thank you, Miss Compton Harris. As you can look around the room, you see we have Mr. Jackson, who is a graduate from Wright, went on and came back. Now he's an employee at Wright. Over the years, we have an awesome addition to our team, Mr. Gordon, who has joined the team and done a phenomenal job since his time at Wright. And lastly, I can't forget my right hand and confidant, Ms. Santos, who is always there to help keep me on track. I want to salute all the beautiful people, especially for allowing me to come and to speak during the time that you're eating. This is a difficult time. As I travel throughout the country and stop in many places, I always ask people, you ask me to come speak, but why in the middle of lunch. Folks want to fill up their stomachs and they want to think about other things and not necessarily the stuff that I may talk about. But I'm excited because obviously I've done something right. You've invited me back a few times. And so I just want to commend everyone on the bountiful community service that you guys are stepping into all the time. If the world was a better place around community service, we wouldn't have as many challenges as we have now. If everyone understood why it's important to be a part of mentoring up and not just giving back, you guys it would be a different world. And I want folks to understand there's a difference because we have people that typically like to say, I give back, I like to give back, I like to give back. We ask the question, what exactly does that mean? Giving back, in a sense, is I'm giving a portion of what has been given to me. When I mentor up, that means I take a person and I show them exactly how they are trying to reach where they're trying to go. So for a young person, if I'm operating with a young person, it's different for me to say I've given to young people. It means more for me to get them, train them, and show them how to become exactly what they're looking for. So the words mentor up, I hope you guys would leave that in your brain when you leave today, that we are now not about giving back, but we're about mentoring up. And every time we walk through those doors, that's exactly what we should do. Today's topic for me is raising an educational bar in a crisis-filled atmosphere. And as we know, we are in crisis all across the world in so many facets. And as I talk with young people each and every day, today is a special day for this particular club. 100 years says a lot. And let's take a little trip down memory lane, what has happened since 1922. Since 1922, the country has been through several different things. We've been able to see World War II. We've seen this club has lived through the women's suffrage. You guys, we've been able to go through civil rights, the 1964 Civil Rights Act. We watched the March on Washington. We've been able to get through the Vietnam War. We've seen affirmative action. We've watched presidents. We've even been able to see the tearing down of certain communities in different aspects. We've also watched the rise and the change of our country as we elected the first African-American president. We've been able to see a woman become vice president. We have lived through times of recession and depression, and we've been able to come through strong. One of the things that's happened in 100 years is that this club has remained strong. Your mission has remained about mentoring up, not community service. Your mission has remained about helping others who are less fortunate than you are. What I'm excited about in the 100 years that has happened with this particular club is that you guys have understood that you've had to change and move forward in several different ways. I look, and I want my young people to notice this, that seasoned people can change. And when you look at seasoned people, like we've all got into this technology now, which I think is phenomenal that we expanded this conversation today. 100 years, this club has remained strong in being able to work together to ensure that your mission is complete. And when I say complete, meaning that you've completed steps along the way, understanding that there's still a lot of trail ahead of you. And the guidance from the way that you are electing new leadership shows that you understand that the path is still unfulfilled. When we look at not maintaining just a status quo, it's important for us to understand how far we have to go. I've learned as a former history teacher, one of the things we know, if you don't understand your history, then you are doomed to repeat it. Recognizing these 100 years and the accomplishments of this club should give you guys motivation to continue on for the next 100 years. Can you imagine what Rotary DC will look like 100 years from now? None of us in this room will probably see it. Maybe not true. Maybe not true. In a physical sense, I would think that none of us will be able to see it, but we would like to think and imagine what those 100 years were like, moving forward 100 years from now. I've been able to share with a lot of organizations 100 years. I'm a member of what I consider the greatest fraternity on earth, the Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. We shared 100 years in 2011. 2011, we were able to acknowledge four great gentlemen who walked the path of what they saw would happen for those men who would grow to move our organization forward. 100 years later, there are 750 chapters over. There are 750 chapters plus international, and we have hundreds of thousands of members because of a vision and a steadfastness about what can come. So I'm excited to know that the Rotary Club is on that same vein and that you guys are understanding that we are on a mission that cannot be stopped. There's an old song that I love so much. It was by McFadden and Whitehead. It's an old Philadelphia group. It's called Ain't No Stopping Us Now. Everybody in the room say, ain't no stopping us now. That's how you feel you're energized because there's no stopping us now. The Rotary Club has so much energy. Every time I walk in, there's a smile on you guys' face like never before. You greet each other like I'm happy to see you, like I really am glad to see you. I'm not faking it, but I'm excited to see each other. There's a love that goes across the room when you pat each other on the back every time I walk into this room. There's some energy around that we want to make change happen and we want to do it now, not tomorrow, not yesterday, but now. Everybody say now. You guys are working like you mean that. You're working with energy around how we sponsor and model things that's necessary for our young people. Being the status quo is not good enough. Working together, learning from our differences. As I look around the room, diversity is rich in this room. And the greatness about diversity is that we learn from each other. There are things that we don't know that if we have those conversations, we're able to take it to another level than ever before. Diversity also shares that I'm able to learn from your culture and take my mindset to another planet, a place that nowhere, no one can take away from me. And that is the excellence that we have from learning from each other. The challenges and trends that we have, and the reason that I say we're in a crisis-filled world is because there's so many things that we have to improve in our communities. Since an educator, I'm going to start with the educational landscape. The challenges in education now is that we as a community, we have to press on lawmakers and press on individuals who make decisions to understand that we must fix the level of parenting. We must make sure that we are pressing parents to be parents because all of us in here had parents who pressed on them. And that is such an important thing. It is important for us to ensure that rules matter and that matters that we get through that trajectory. The rule is the rule, as I say to the young people. Some things are negotiable, some things aren't. And as we work on mentoring folks up, I don't worry about the fact of how low you are. My goal is to get you how high you can become. There's a need for training. And the training has to be there. It's not about how much talent you have. It's about what will you learn along the steps. I ask my young people, would you rather jump through the door? If I can tell you right now that I'm able to jump out of that door. Is that possible? Yes. Is it possible for me to jump from here through that door? No way. But is it possible for me to take step by step by step until I get out the door? That's possible. We teach individuals what the possible is because every step is necessary. When we look back over our journey, we understand that each step taught us something that has lasted throughout wherever we are in our lifetime. And it's important for us as we go out and mentor up that they understand that training is necessary regardless of how much you know, because it's not about the talent that you have, it's about what you learn along the way. As I stated before, remember, we are mentoring up. Forget about giving back and community service. Remember, we have to ask the question every time we go out, where do we go from here? Because it's not where you start, it's where you what? Finish. Why is it necessary to make that happen? Because we want young people and communities to understand that the only way that you thrive is if you have a strategic plan and an outcome that you're trying to get to. And I'll end with this because I know we have closure and there's time. There's a great poem that I love to have, and I want everyone to remember it. That somebody said that it couldn't be done. Whenever we walk into a community and we feel like it's so challenge-filled, someone said that it couldn't be done. But he, with a chuckle, replied that maybe it couldn't, but he would be the one who wouldn't say till he tried. So he buckled right in with a trace of a grin on his face. If he worried, he hid it. He started to sing as he tackled the thing that couldn't be done, and he did it. Thank you guys for an awesome opportunity, and I appreciate the Rotary Club and the leadership and everything that you guys are doing. Keep mentoring up and keep being bountiful in the work that you do. Thank you.
Affirmative action seems to be on its way out, and the majority of the folks in the country don't like it. I love it, but what are we going to do if it's gone?
That is a great question. And I'll say this is where training comes in. We have to, if it goes out, the next plan is that we have to make sure that the record stands strong. Meaning, if you have a 4.0, I need to have a 4.0. If you have a good attitude, I need to have a good attitude. We have to make the records match. And so what I've said, and I share with my young people all the time, it's not good to just be status quo. You got to be better, and being better will allow us to make that case as to why I deserve that opportunity.
So what you see in applications to colleges is that grade point average is important and numbers are important, but also extracurricular things are important as well. You're adding on all the way up the chain. And so I hope that we could help you go to RILA and do community service, mentoring up, if you will, do the things that will look good, and we'll review your essays and help you improve it. We'll do everything we can to help you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, yes, my name is Chelsea. I have a question. Where can I find out more about work that you do and what you've done so far? I'd love to look more into what you do and help you with this literacy problem and leading young guys to become, the future of tomorrow.
We can definitely connect. I'm at Richard Wright Schools. That's where you can find me. The information, and I would say most of the work, where my heart is in the school, and ensuring that our young people have the best opportunities possible to be successful. So come on and join us in this movement, because we'd like to say at Richard Wright Schools, yes, we have a movement, because if it ain't Richard, it ain't right.
Dr. Clark, thank you for being here today. It's good to see you again.
You too.
I want to follow up on Shelley's question a while ago, but from a little different perspective. Affirmative action, as we said, is probably going away. What should we replace it with, and how would we name it? What should it be named as we go towards 2050?
I think.
And 3 elements that you think that we in this room and others can actually help Richard Wright, and whatever this is going to be for the future. What do you think the top 3 things that should be included? And thank you for being here.
Thank you. Well, I think if affirmative action goes out the window, I think it is important for us to keep one special word with an E on the table, and that's equality. We need, 2 words, equality and equity across the board. Equality says that the game is fair. Equity says we have the tools to make sure we can compete. Those are the 2 major words that I think is important. And if affirmative action goes, we have to continue to push that. At Richard Wright Schools, I think the top 3 things that we continue to work with, mention one is continuing working with reading and writing. That is a challenge a lot of times. Many of the students in the district, it's no secret, have been educated in some of the worst schools in the district, no matter how they disguise it. And there's a challenge against, schools of choice and other schools that will actually focus on those areas. But I think we keep beating the horse and working around reading and writing. And it is important to get to know students, because if they can see their pathway, a lot of times it's easier to help that trajectory move. The second thing is important to align them, as I mentioned, with mentoring up. If a person wants to be an attorney, for example, and a student says, I want to be an attorney, it does nothing for me to do to talk to the student about it. I need to pair that student with someone that they can see themselves as. And I think the last thing that is most important with it is consistency. Is that if you're going to be a person that's mentoring up, be consistent in your calling and be consistent in what you do with that student. Thank
Hi, I just wanted to thank you for what you said and how you said it. That's very powerful. And there's one sentence that you said that seems to be simple, but is not. If you wanted to reach the door, you have to do one step by step. That is a basic, but there is something to add here, which is very powerful. Instead of seeing step by step as an obstacle, teach to see as a challenge, which means enthusiasm comes out. And it's much easier to do the step fast. Challenge is powerful.
Challenge is powerful. There is one of my favorite books, and now my mind is going blank, but it's about the gentleman who wrote a prayer for Jabez. He wrote a book called Dream Givers. Within the Dream Giver, there's a young man. His name is he's all considered to be a nobody, and nobody travels through territory. And as he travels through territory, he gets things cleaned up. And as he gets cleaned up and he finally gets comfortable, then he's forced to move to another level. And before you know it, he's having to start all over again. At the end of the book, which I think is so phenomenal, is that he understood all the lessons that came from every step that he took. Is because the challenges is what made him great. And the challenges is what got him to the point where his dream became fulfilled. And so that is the mode that we operate with students, is that you have to understand that you embrace challenges. And as a person, and not of course, I can't say this in school, but as a person of faith, the way that I view things is that I'm always thankful for not only the things that I triumph with, but the things that I'm challenged with.
Dr. Wright, thank you for being here. This is my first time coming to a Rotary event, and I'm glad that my sponsor, Sheldon, here brought me to hear about mentoring up, because I work for a streetwise organization. We mentor up and
Now that's
prepare.
copyrighted. That's what you know.
We help the students, immigrants, and those from underserved communities to go into the professional world, the corporate world, in technology, project management. And so thank you for talking about that. But I wanted to ask you, I didn't get from your bio, who was your mentor as you progressed through life?
So I'll be honest with you, I have an array of mentors because one just won't do, not for my personality. So I have several, but one of the mentors was mentioned in my bio, and Dr. Johnny L. Wilson, who I hold in such high regards, and we still speak to this day. And I have reverence for him, just being able to get me in a different perspective about education and why to become an educator. And then I have a person who was the chair of my dissertation committee who refused. She had this little red pen, just like your tie. She gave me a hard time with that dissertation. She's the president of St. Augustine's University, Dr. Christine Johnson McPhail. And she was one tough cookie, but I respect her, and I respect the level of work and the requirements that she has. And so we have a great relationship. I talk with her all the time. And St. Augustine's has been to Richard Wright. They were just there a couple months ago, trying to understand it, and we're going to bring students there. But the president showed up with her team because it was important to understand. So I have mentors for everything. Dr. Freeman Rabowski is one of my mentors, and several others, because I think a person that's in leadership needs several people to help guide, because there's a piece of everything that makes you whole.
Quick question. So thank you for your time here today. Very good. But how many schools do you guys have, and how many is in your whole student body?
So we have what we consider a lower school and an upper school academy. So it's plural, 2 schools in one is what we have. Our student body consists of 350 students, and that's coming back from the pandemic. We moved into a new facility as well. I'm glad you mentioned that, because I want to share a few numbers. Class of 2022, we had 75 graduates. They were accepted collectively to over 500 colleges and universities. It's a requirement for the seniors. And there's those seniors right there have the same issues. They're with me right now because they have to write a 26-page paper and defend their thesis. That's why they're looking at me like that. And that's why I didn't ride in the same car with them here. And so every student is required to be accepted to 5 or more colleges and universities. So collectively, we had over 500 acceptances last year. That 75 group also collectively amassed $4.7 million in scholarships last year for the requirements. So with that being said, we are at a place now where we're still growing. We're looking to add another piece on to and this is the first time I've said this publicly, but we are looking to add on to our facility. We understand that we serve some students that have home issues, and we want to provide a place for transient living for kids that may run into a jam, and we want to open up another facility on the backside of our building. That's phase 2. So we have vision for how we can continue to mentor up as we are changing lives.
Thanks so much for speaking with us. My question is about something you sort of mentioned in passing, but strikes me as being very important, and I wonder if you could expand on it, which is helping parents parent. That's not always a very popular topic, but it clearly is something you're paying attention to. And I wonder, what are you doing? What should be done? What can an organization like ours do to help that element of a child's education and being mentored up?
I'm glad you mentioned that. It's like an old joke I've heard when we ask, why didn't the skeleton cross the road? And the answer is, a lot of people don't say it because they have no guts. They have no guts to actually make that happen. We're at a point now where we're in crisis, honestly, around parenting, because we understand. And as a father and a husband and of a young lady who graduated at the top of her class in high school, top of her class in college, and now a law student, I understand the value of parenting coming from a family that had accountability. Now, I wasn't the greatest young man. I got in a lot of trouble, but I had some accountability at home. All right. I had a mom and a dad who made me accountable, and punishment was my middle name. One of the things that we can do is that we have to keep driving this message now that it's so vital if we're going to have a future for all of us, is that parents have to be parents. That you got into an unwritten law when you decided to have a child, and it's your responsibility. And as educators, and if we're going to save the educational system as we know it and have schools exist, we're going to have to do it, because you have educators every day in these small silos saying, I'm counting my years and I'm gone. I'm counting my years. And if we do that, then what's going to happen to the future? So what can we do as a group? Continue to push that message, why parenting is important, and what's the result of good parenting once we see that. When you are a good parent, not saying that it's going to be perfect, but we see that good parents and parenting makes a difference. So we got to push that and keep that lively in our conversations. That's the biggest thing I think can happen right now.
Dr. Clark, good afternoon. Dolores Edwards Harding, District Governor-elect. And I want to just say you are my fraternity brother, and it's great to have you here, my brother. I just want to say, as a child advocate for many years in Maryland, this is Interact Week. Is there a piece of advice that you can give these students today?
Is to hold fast to dreams, because when dreams die, you know the poem. You will. Yeah, at least he's honest, right? We'll make sure next time you see him, he'll know that poem. Because it's so important for them to hold fast to their dreams and never let them die. I think being if you realize that you can be that, if you see that and you see it, you can do it. There are things that you just unstoppable. And see what you guys see before you. You see there's an image of me, but really what you see is a gentleman that's like 6'3" standing before you, right? Y'all don't get it, but it's okay. Because in my mind, that's how I feel. And as I walk in rooms, folks will tell you that it doesn't matter. Because I've had people walk in and say, oh, I was really looking for someone else. I didn't really think that you could make all of that noise or you could just stop the entire group because I was looking for someone else. Well, it's not about that. It's about who you feel that you are and what is your mission. Because if your mission is strong enough, and as I say to the students, doesn't matter the challenges, let your mission be stronger and your dreams will continue to pass. I'm true testament that my dream has come true, that I wanted to one day found a school and be in charge of a school because public schools failed me and my dream came true. So if my dream can come true, so can yours.
Dr. Clark, I hate to not be able to get your GPS coordinates, but I'll make it my mission. This will be your third tree. And we continue giving you trees, representing our commitment to plant a tree in your honor to improve and beautify the environment.